Welcome back to another edition of NBA Fantasy Baller, brought to you by Research Fantasy for this 3/11, happy 3/11 day, 2017. Last night was derpy, to say the least. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term, but it's just generally when you do something and it doesn't exactly yield the most positive results. I'm a stickler to my module because it's brought me a great deal of success in the NBA over the last few years. And some of this stuff you just can't help. First thing, I'm going to be splitting the videos into two different videos today, just to kind of shorten them. Maybe some of you don't care to hear who my core plays are and just want to hear the value plays, or vice versa, or both. But I'm going to split them apart, try to keep the videos a little bit shorter. That way, if you're in need of listening to something a little bit shorter, you'll have it. Back to last night, Kemba just didn't need to play. And yes, Batum managed to, I think, hit value in the time he saw on the floor. Marvin Williams was an absolute monster in the time he saw on the floor. Kemba wasn't just wasn't needed. If you watch Kemba or even look at the StatCasters while the games are going on, Kemba, to me, reminds me a lot of Isaiah Thomas in the fact that Kemba will have a lot of first halves that finish at like 15 to 18 points, and then down the stretch, he's just the guy. Boom, 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 boom. So when the game's on the line, he's the one who's really getting a lot of the focus. And the problem with that is, if he's not in the game, he's not scoring points. I mean, I know this is pretty much some simple stuff here, but that's what happened last night. Millsap was adequate but not great. Giannis was adequate but not great. So we're going to try to put that behind us tonight. So I'm going to do two things. Number one, I'm just going to tell you, like, here's some guys that our module favors in terms of plays that are like around 55 and above. I don't have the prices with me. I'm just going to read you a list, and then I'm going to give you my three plays that I really like more than the rest. All right, so we've got Marvin Williams, Nicholas Batum, Greg Monroe, LaMarcus Aldridge, Hassan Whiteside, John Wall, Paul Millsap, Mike Conley, Dennis Schroeder, DeMar DeRozan, Damian Lillard, Dwight Howard, Marc Gasol, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kemba Walker, and DeMarcus Cousins and Pau Gasol. Those are some guys that this really likes. I accidentally mentioned one of my core plays in there, but those are our group of guys that really turn out positively on this slate. Before I move on into our core plays, and you can hear more of an analysis on this in the second video, which will be centered just on value plays, but this San Antonio Golden State game is going to make or break a lot of lineups tonight, and here's why. Andre Iguodala, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, plus Kawhi Leonard all ruled out. So number one, right off the bat, you're looking at a ton of value available on the Warriors, because not only are they sitting 4 stars, but I mean that has to make their active list 7 to 8 guys. So you're going to see guys like Ian Clark, James Michael McAdoo, JaVale McGee, David West, Matt Barnes, all exceeding the 30-point mark, which gives them an insane amount of value. Will probably also result in them being really, really heavily owned. If that's the case, you're going to be able to build a lot of lineups that have the likes of Cousins, Davis, DeRozan, and LeBron built in. And if these value plays hit and the studs hit, which is not always a given, believe me, last night really showed that it's not always a given. But if they hit, you're looking at a situation where you're probably in a pretty easy cashing situation. The inverse to that is maybe you want to get cute and you say these value plays are going to be so heavily owned that I'd rather just build a middling lineup with a bunch of average type price guys and hope that they exceed value by 3 to 5 points. And if they do that, I've gained an edge on the competition because they've run with the studs and scrubs lineup that just didn't pan out. So just some food for thought. I haven't really thought too much about where I'm going to land tonight, but that's where I'm at right now. All right, let's start our video out with Ricky Rubio of the Minnesota Timberwolves, 12-7 fantasy draft, 71 FanDuel, 6,800 DraftKings. it's hard to ignore the production that Rubio is putting together right now. More importantly than all of that, it's really been unlimited to a specific type of team. We've seen him put games together like this against San Antonio, Golden State, some scrubby teams. But the fact of the matter is, Ricky Rubio is producing, and in the midst of that, he's finding himself in a price range that really isn't representative of what he's producing. And that's something we want to try to go after all day. To me, that's a really easy choice to make. I'm likely going to have a lot of shares of Ricky Rubio. The Milwaukee Bucks, both teams coming off a back-to-back. I think it's rather irrelevant. Both teams got the W yesterday, I think. I'm pretty sure. I know Milwaukee was winning it last time I saw it yesterday. I think it's going to be fun because the Timberwolves are the team that I really thought are the team of the future. Many other people think it's the Bucks. It's going to be an interesting showdown. I think he should still see 35 minutes and another 40-point game as well within reason. Let's move on to DeMar DeRozan. 15-6 on Fantasy Draft, 9,700 FanDuel, 8,400 on DraftKings. Again, this is a play we're centering almost specifically around DraftKings because now his price has fallen to the point where you need just over 40 points worth of output. I think this is an excellent spot to look at for DeRozan tonight. And he came through, thank goodness, last night because it was a little bit close, and I did have some ownership of him. He's playing Miami, the Heat. Tough team in a lot of ways, but I think that as long as his shot is falling, he should find himself into a position where he could get into that 40-point mark, which is what we're looking at for him, especially, like I said, on a night where you could have guys like David West who might go for 25 fantasy points and only need 15 and give you that little extra cushion. So he's a guy I'm going to put in a lot of my lineups. I think my favorite play on the night, and it's going to be tough because I don't really love how this situation is panning out right now, but I'm going to go to New Orleans with the Pelicans, power forward Anthony Davis, 18-2 Fantasy Draft, 10-9 FanDuel, 9,900 DraftKings. I mean, look, Anthony Davis is like a China doll, man. He's scary to put in your lineup because you just have to fear if he falls down, is he going to get back up? You can't really proceed like that with an NBA DFS because he's in a great position tonight against the Charlotte Hornets, who are boasting a front court of Marvin Williams and Cody Zeller. And I'd love to tell you that there's 4 other bench guys, and Christian Wood's there, but it's Christian Wood. That doesn't make this scenario any better. Frank Kaminsky's not there. Roy Hibbert's not. There's a lot of guys who just aren't there. Marvin Williams is dramatically undersized. Cody Zeller is a horrible rebounder. I mean, this sets up to be one of those games where Anthony Davis could end up with a 60-plus point game. Now, the downside to this is DeMarcus Cousins could end up with a 60-plus point game. I don't know the likelihood that both of them have a 60-point fantasy game. All I do know is that the price is far too low for what his potential output is, and I'm going to have a bunch of him in my tournament lineups tonight. That wraps up our core plays. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Head over to researchfantasy.com where we send out our daily NBA mailing list. Probably won't get to it today, unfortunately. Have a lot to do. But make sure to go over to Facebook, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.